Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name's Marissa, and today I'm going to be doing my February mid-month wrap-up. So the first thing I wanted to go over is where I'm at in my reading goals so far in 2021. So far, I have read 22 books total. I'm ahead by 2 books, apparently, according to my 150 book goal, which is great. And then I am at 7,851 pages. Apparently, I'm behind by 31 pages, which is fine. The page goal is just a stretch goal, so no worries there. So the first book that I ended up reading in February was Before Theyre Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. So this is the second book in the First Law trilogy. This series is very character focused. You really don't get a whole lot of plot until the third book, and even then it's really not a whole lot of plot. A lot of this book, a lot of all three of these books really, are just about war and death, and these characters are traveling and going on journeys, but you never really see any conclusions so far, and I'm almost done with the third book, but you know, it just still hasn't wrapped up anything very well. So here is hoping. My fingers are crossed. I don't know. Joe Abercrombie's writing is just, it's very lyrical to me, and I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I'm having a really hard time reading it. Although I do really like the characters, I do really enjoy how diverse they are and just how varied they are. So I mean, it's not a bad series if you really like lyrical writing and you're really heavy into fantasy. So the next book that I ended up picking up was My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. And this one I did end up reading on audiobook. It is a standalone. This book is all about abuse, trauma, sexual manipulation, this teenager having sex with an older teacher, a 30-plus-year-old, older than her, older teacher. And it is a very brutal book. I would honestly say that if you have any trigger warnings for any of this stuff, just don't even bother picking it up, because it does get very, very graphic into the details. A lot of this I found very kind of boring and repetitive because it just kept going over and over and over these same things. And, you know, I understand that it was really trying to beat home the point that this girl was abused, but I mean, I got it. I got it. So overall, this book was pretty depressing, and yeah, it wasn't too bad, but definitely depressing. So the next 2 books that I ended up reading in the month of February were Fire Season and Hungry Ghost by Stephen Blackmoore. These are the 3rd and the 4th books in the Eric Carter series. This whole series is basically about a necromancer out for revenge, and it is a very, very fast-paced action book. I ended up listening to all these on audiobook, and each one of them is only about 5 hours a piece. So they're very short books, but action-packed. So basically what happens is this necromancer's family, his parents were murdered by this big mob boss guy 15 years prior, and he ends up killing the mob boss. Well, then the mob boss goons threaten to go after Eric Carter's family if Eric doesn't leave the city. So he does, and he basically just uproots, doesn't tell anybody where he's going. He just abandons his little sister and his girlfriend. So 15 years later, his sister is brutally murdered, and he comes back to town to get revenge on whoever murdered her. So it's a very interesting story. This guy gets himself into a lot of trouble. I mean, like Aztec gods kind of trouble. So it's very interesting. It's very power driven, and Eric Carter is definitely a very power driven person. So it's interesting. I wouldn't say they're the greatest or my favorite fantasy books out there, but definitely up there on the list. So this next one is the books that I DNF'd in February so far. So the first one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, this one has been much hyped on BookTube. Basically, it is supposed to be about this cafe where if you sit in this one particular seat, you can travel back in time, but the only catch, well, one of the only catches is that you can't leave the seat and you have to come back before the coffee gets cold. I started listening to this on audiobook, and I was so bored after 2 hours into this. I couldn't even listen to it anymore. I was like, nope, I'm good. I can't do this. So unfortunately, it is just not the book for me. I think it is just too descriptive and too much too much build up and it just doesn't have that much payoff. So it's just not for me. And then the next one is a cheap book that I ended up picking up at my local dollar store, and that is The Dinner by Herman Koch. And this one is literally all about this dinner. I ended up listening to this one on audiobook as well, and I get an hour and a half in and we're still describing the appetizer course. And I'm just like, I can't do this. It's too much description in there, just too much. It's not working for me. So I ended up DNFing that one as well. And then finally, I wanted to add in here what I am currently reading. So the first one is Vigilante Game by Megan Scott Mollin. This is the third book in the Golden Arrow Mysteries series, and I really love this. It's very short, very action-packed, very fast-paced, and I really enjoy the character work in this, and I really enjoy the sarcastic, witty humor. So that one I'm reading on ebook. The next one is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. That was on my hashtag read it or lose it list, and I ended up picking this up on audiobook. I really haven't started it yet. I mean, I've downloaded it to my phone, but I haven't started listening to it, but we'll see. So then the next one is The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, and that is the third book in the First Law trilogy, and I'm almost done with that, thankfully. Hopefully it doesn't throw me into a reading slump, but we shall see. So that is all that I have for you guys so far in the month of February. I've only read 4 books. I am crossing my fingers and toes and every other thing crossable that I end up picking up more than just those 4 books in the rest of February. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you back for my next video. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching my video. I upload every Wednesday and Saturday, and I would really love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe my videos. Have a great day.